Welcome back to the Valsites podcast, the show where finance leaders, CFOs, and innovators come to reimagine how strategy, technology, and operations comes together. Today's guest brings a rare blend of financial leadership, hospitality expertise, and hands-on digital transformation. Correa is a vice president of corporate finance at Baha Mar, a $4.2 billion resort complex uniting 3 hotel brands. Val, I need to come here. A massive casino, a convention center, yacht operations, and a new $200 million water park. I need to bring the kiddos. What are we doing? We're going to get off the show. I'm coming. Val has over 15 years of experience leading finance teams across luxury hospitality, transforming back finance offices, and implementing data-first strategies to unlock millions in savings and new revenue. Val's also a keynote speaker. You've probably seen him all over LinkedIn and probably at a convention near you where he speaks on AI-powered finance. Can't wait. Agentic workflows and leadership development. He shares stages with some of the most forward-thinking voices in the industry, so you have to check him out. His work centers on upskilling teams, maximizing systems, and rethinking how finance leaders prepare their organizations for the AI-enabled future. In this episode, we'll cover why finance transformation starts with people, not platforms. What I love about Val, he starts with the finance team, the people. Lessons from leading finance across hotels, casinos, and large-scale operations. We'll chat about Val's playbook for building data-first foundations for AI success, the power of mentoring and upskilling teams to handle disruption, and finally, how agentic workflows will change the role of finance leaders in the next 3 to 5 years. You don't want to miss this, and probably sooner than that, sooner than the next 3 to 5 years. But Val, so excited. Thank you so much for coming on. Welcome to the Valsites podcast.
Awesome.
So excited to have you. I remember we met at the World Finance Forum. You were on stage. First of all, had one of the best you still haven't given me your secrets on how you created that presentation deck, because that was the most dynamic and modern. Like, how did he do this? So good. But anyways, what you shared, though, was outstanding around agentic workflows and, again, upskilling the team. And so I wanted to jump in just around, you've led finance teams at some of the most complex, largest hospitality operations in the world. And I want to kind of slow down a little bit. How did that all start? How did your journey start?
Well, it started in the year 2000 when I first got my first opportunity in a hospitality as a server. And then you will see that this is relevant by the time that I get to my role today, right? So I started actually as an assistant server. And
Wow.
This was my first, let's say, experience in hospitality. And then you will see in this story that hospitality is a very interesting business because you have a bunch of industries mixed in hospitality. You just mentioned convention center. We have a finance operation, right? We have a shared service, like with this type of global approach to shared services. We have casino, right? The hotels, water park, golf. So everything related to like this type of entertainment. But yeah, I started as a service assistant. I stayed in operations for about 4 years, and then I, moved my way in in the admin, right, positions in accounting. So I did a couple of years as income audit, which gave me a lot of perspective again about operations. And this was very important for me because I was always a curious person. And since the beginning, right, when I started to learn about how to serve people, and then how to see what's your best drink and preparing those, it gave me this special let's say care on the human side of it, right? Mm-hmm. Hospitality is about serving the other human being. It's making them smile. So I carried this for my entire life. And then since I understand myself as a as a person, I always love to teach. This is one of my passions, right? Which is really uh, driving people to enhance themselves, to learn, and I love to teach. I love to see people's eyes when I see in their face they are connecting something because I explain in a different way, maybe, right?
Right.
And then, throughout my entire career, for 9 years, I worked for this Spanish company called Melia Hotels International. And because of this, way of me explaining things, they put me in a very interesting position, which was stabilizing operations after opening. So I was the one left behind, right, to make sure that everybody understood systems, understood
Mm.
the procedures of this company. So I was the one, staying behind for 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks, stabilizing operations, right? So that gave me a lot of insights on how different nuances in different cultures learns. You know, the more you try to explain something in a different way, the more that, inserts in your mind and gives you a lot of interesting perspectives on how people learn and in different cultures, but also after you go through that level, right, of culture and local ways, you start to see actually how human beings actually learn.
Hmm.
From experience, I was able to learn that, right? So it gave me all these different um, tools that I have in my toolbox that I can apply when teaching. So 2012, I left Brazil for an interesting opportunity in Mexico. And then with all these tools, gathered throughout these years, I was able to start my journey in finance, in a finance role. And I was able to implement all these crazy ideas that I had at the moment, right? And then we did a lot of things interesting when I first assumed this role, like breaking all records in a small hotel in Mexico. An amazing story. If you have time, I can tell you that. But we
Yes.
were able to generate like an extra $1 million in revenues, right? Um, when the hotel at the beginning of the year was not doing so well. So I was able to, with my energy and passion, put everybody in a room. And it's crazy because I was the financial leader there, right? I was the controller. So imagine a controller with all this energy, putting
Who
240
is this
people in a
guy?
room and say, hey, we need to do this. Let's, shoulder to shoulder, give me ideas because we need to accomplish this. And then with all this energy, and of course, together with the exec team, you can't do anything by yourself. But the energy that you bring to the table, that changed completely, and that's why I love to talk to you as well. I think you have similar energy.
Appreciate
But
that.
action, making actions from a good point, not someone cocky and say things this and that, right? But actually close to people. And then it's interesting because then I have housekeepers stopping me in the corridors and asking how well we were doing against budget. And this is very
I
important,
love
right?
that.
When you have line level stuff, right, asking you questions about how the business is performing, that is transformative. This is amazing. Having servers and say, hey, how is the mix of sales, and then how is my beverage cost, right? Which strategy should we implement to reduce the vodka cost? Crazy. So
Amazing.
by October we were at 98% of that goal. An amazing thing that happened there, right? And because of this type of way of thinking and teaching, so I got in the next role, which was cluster controller, where we created this company at Melia Hotels International called Impact. It was a shared services department, and in a very at that point, 8 9 years ago, RPA was like a big thing coming up, right?
Right.
So we started to implement RPAs there, right, to ensure that we were at the edge of technology at that moment in time. So I was the one, together again with the execs of that company, to create all these different concepts of what we would automate at that time to make sure that we could be as productive as possible and then provide these services for these different hotels. But that after 1 year creating this company and coming up with different ideas, I got called by this old boss that it's my boss today. He was at Baha Mar and said, enough with that. I need you here immediately. What are you doing there? I need you here right for that. So that's when I joined Baha Mar 7 years ago, with this big challenge of bringing Baha Mar to the next level. And then we are doing amazing things there in terms of automation, right? We have over 50 processes automated.
Wow.
Different approach. We have local automations, RPAs. We are in the edge now to implement our agentic AI. So amazing stories.
Can't wait to talk about that. And, one of my questions, I was just so curious, like what prepared you to take on what soon becomes a $4.2 billion resort? Because like you said, there's just so many moving parts, but now that I've heard you talk about your journey, right? And I think it's what we're challenging finance leaders to do today, outside of like the tech, but it's like get to the ground truth, get to boots on the ground, like learn operations, learn how people interact, the team member experience and the customer journey as well. And it's funny, you actually started in operations and work up into finance. And I just think this is perfect because there's so many people that need to hear how you do what you do. Because I think that for a lot of finance leaders, especially as we introduce AI and we get closer into agentic and all of that, they're really going to be able to drive value if and only they understand the business model and the people
Exactly.
that make that
I love
happen.
it, right?
Yeah,
Curious mind. You should
exactly.
always be curious, right? Not judgmental, like that Ted Lasso show, right? And then a story that exemplified this is very interesting because when I was now in Orlando in this hotel, I challenged the housekeepers, and I have this like funny way to interact with all this stuff, right? I don't like this rigid type of approach. And then I challenged them and then said, well, we need to increase productivity here. I keep hearing that you guys saying it's not possible, but I can prove to you that I can clean a room faster than you. And then that created a shock, right? And then they started to look to me like they didn't know if I was joking or not, or it was just being an asshole. And I said, and I will come dressed up like a housekeeper, and I will clean the room, and then you guys gonna see it. And then a couple of weeks went by, and then I went there, dressed as a housekeeper, like I'm there, ready with all my rugs and chemicals, and I'm ready. And in 10 minutes, I was completely destroyed, throwing the floor and say, can't do it.
Tag
Right?
me out.
And then I said, enough, right? And I sit down, and then I had like maybe 10 housekeepers around me. And then they saw me because I didn't take this lightly. I was really ready. And then I started to clean everything. And I said, just tell me what I need to do in the most efficient way. And it took 10 minutes for me to get completely destroyed, right? So I sit down and they are around me. And then we started to have like an honest conversation. And that was the key. That was the icebreaker, right? Because they saw that I was not, just messing around. And I was really curious about that. So I learned so much. And then, simple things started to appear. And this is another interesting concept that sometimes our levels, they need to understand. There are too many layers to get to us. So for you to create these opportunities, and it's not like a coffee or things that you need to leave the experience of the line of the floor,
I
right?
love that. Live the experience. I love that.
The experience. And then you go there in a very, curious and intentional way. So I was there, I had this conversation. So we were missing so many things because, we were missing rugs, special chemicals. We were using the wrong chemicals. So I took all these different ideas and actually, in the end, it happened exactly what I wanted, right? Which is increased productivity. They were cleaning, I don't want to throw like a hospitality terminologies here, but they were cleaning 11 credits and they started to clean 13 credits. It's a big, and then my hospitality peers here will understand that this is a huge improvement in cost savings there. And then you say, well, how many? We don't have time to do this type of things. Well, wait a little bit, right? Just wait a little bit. Calm down, breathe, right? Look the amount of savings that you can actually accomplish if you have this curious mind. You know what is your dead time. You know when you can do it, these type of things, right? And it's fun, it's engaging, and worked phenomenally.
It's amazing. And you say it a lot. It's, for any type of transformation, including digital transformation, it's not about the platforms or the tools, it's the people. And I
Exactly.
love that not only did you come from ops, but once you're in these finance leadership roles, like you realize like the layers to get to me need to be very slim because us finance leaders need to be very close to the ground truth, and you have to go into it with a curious mind. You mentioned RPA, right? And I know you've also implemented organic coding and probably work with vibe coding now or will soon, or system maximization. What have you found using automation or even AI? Like where in the hospitality world, where would you say it's delivered the fastest ROI? Like, what were some of the low hanging fruit that you've attacked at Baha Mar?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I came to Baha Mar with a very specific goal, which is modernize accounting, enhance employees' morale, right, and bringing us to the next level. So anytime you see around your business something that is transactional, it's a perfect case for AI. It's a perfect case. You just need to be careful with data governance. We're going to touch it. So hang in there, right? Wait for that. But everything that is transactional, it's an amazing opportunity for you to automate. Straightforward, the best ROIs are there. And then, so you look to your company and you see everything that is transactional, and then you see where is the best opportunity for you to get, let's say, the best ROI. In our case specifically, for example, we had a very complicated situation with the intercompany. So our goal was clear. We had to get our hands in the intercompany reconciliation to avoid any potential variances, at the end of the fiscal year or the end of the year, depending on how you operate. So for me, the goal was already there. But after so many implementations, I can easily say that anything that is transactional, that the bots or the agents can understand because they have enough data. This is another thing, right? For a bot, for automation to learn, it requires loads and loads of data. So everything that's transactional, it's perfect. Also, there is a lot of opportunities for unstructured data. The tools are being very well designed to understand intent, to understand mood. So, for example, things like reading social media and trying to determine how you are performing realistically, not from a questionnaire that's very boring to fill. That you probably filled a couple of them. So sometimes you get even pissed because you are feeling those questionnaires. So you're relieving those memories. So getting social media, it's like an immediate way for you to get the mood of what is happening. So these tools are very powerful when this is happening. Every time that it requires some sort of creativity or some reasoning on the output, that's where I recommend people to be very careful and put the human elements to kind of guardrail all
That
those output.
yeah. And I'm curious from your point of view and just some of this transformation or even implementation, especially now that we're getting into AI and you mentioned agentic workflows. Like how do you decide when we're going to use our existing system? And there's many organizations, many leaders listening to this that say, hey, we built this from scratch and we've been around for 40 plus years. It's this legacy system, right? And in order for us to actually transform, we're going to have to unravel. When do you decide, you know what, let's keep this and let's build upon it? Or say, hey, you know what, I know we've used this for 40 years, but we got to scrap this and start with new tools. Have you seen that? Have you gone through that yourself? How
Oh
do you
yeah,
know
all the
when
time.
to which way to go?
So sometimes it's a easy take, right? It's an easy decision. For example, we use an ERP called Microsoft Dynamics Great
I
Plains,
love them. Yeah.
right? Which is gonna come out, they're gonna stop up providing support by 2029. So there is no option. You need to move to another ERP, right? So, but if you're already like in a modern platform, I'm always gonna say to you, hold your horses. Okay. I used to say this in the previous company that every time like a user is complaining about the system, I say, do you think this guy in German or in India, they are there coding, oh, this code is gonna, it's gonna mess with Albert, right? This is specific to make them suffer. This is not how it works, right? Everybody's trying to do their best.
It is so funny.
95% of the time, 95% of the time, you actually have a question, a doubt. So when determining which system you should scrap out of your system or of your business or to remain with them, it all depends if you have, in our case, for example, something that is at the end of their life, of its life. There is no option there. Because, to change systems that is already working, it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
So many examples that people think
it could disrupt the
it's
business, right?
disruptive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 100% of the time, people think that they are getting something better, and then you create an even worse situation because now you don't have something that was working before, and then now you have something new that was not properly implemented, and this is reality. Complaint is going to be always there. Take this as a very calm. Take your coffee, sit down, analyze your portfolio of applications, and realistically see if it makes sense. Right? You're already working with Salesforce. You're already working with SAP. You're already working with all these different systems that keeps implementing new features. So maybe you have a question. Maybe you have a doubt. So I highly recommend to people start to do in their companies like other companies does, which is create key users, right? People that are very well versed in those applications and ready to tackle on questions immediately. Not IT, not HR. Every department should have like a champion of the systems that they work with. That champion is the one to go when somebody is having a problem or think the system is wrong. 95% of the time is just a question. It's just a doubt, right? So you eliminate a lot of trouble there. But sometimes you really have a problem, right? So sometimes like us, right? We will need to get rid of Microsoft Dynamics GP. There is no other option. It's like it's a standalone system. It's on-prem. Everybody's on cloud. So it's impossible for us to stay where we are.
Right.
So that's kind of the approach that I'm asking people to do. And why? Because today we have agentic AIs. Today we have RPAs, systems and models that can actually help you with the reconciliation, that can help you to create a report or an analytical dashboard that can guide you faster to take decisions. And this is something that we're going to explore as well.
It's so good. I really think when I think of you, I think of a very thoughtful value disruptor. And I think people listen. I was just in a room a couple of weeks ago with a group of finance leaders, CFOs, that just seem to be still intimidated to shake this cage, especially with their CTOs and those in IT.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my first question. The second question, when you realize whether it be RPA or even this AI agentic workflows, like one, how do you go have this conversation with key decision makers? And then two, how do you prepare, like we were talking about the field, right? How do you prepare the rest of the organization to move as slowly or quickly that you need to see if this even will work? What's the ROI, right? So I think those are two questions that are still out there. It's like, how do we get everyone on the same page? and actually, I guess in the field, how do we get them on the same page where they're skilled enough to use this, and actually we see an ROI in our investment?
So look how interesting is this, Albert. There is this study that just came out from MIT, saying that 95% of all AI projects are failing, not failing entirely, because we need to be very careful, right? It's failing on the delivery of the value that was promised. So, of course, the media, everybody took this and, all AI is failing.
Drop it.
You
No
hold your
more.
horse. Calm down, right? We went through some transformations, and this is normal. You implement something, 95% of all the things that you implemented will fail. It's good. That's what we should be actually cherishing this thing,
Yeah.
right? Because at least you know what is not working. The problem comes when you oversell something or undersell something. And then this is where we need to be very careful. Sometimes companies, they are not ready to be in the AI implementation. They need to work first, right? In data curation, some sort of data. They need to understand their portfolio of applications, where things are installed, if they have enough safeguards in place to make sure the data is at least readable, right? There is a very interesting example in hospitality, and again, all my peers will understand this, but decades ago, when the systems started to implement, when you are doing a check-in, it's a very stressful moment, sir. It is stressful for the customer that wants to go up, right? But for the front desk, it's even more stressful, because it's not just you, it's a line of 50 people, and they need to do really, really fast.
Interesting.
So the first analyticals that started to come up from the systems was showing that everybody was coming from Angola. And then and the reason is because it was the first country that was showing there, right? Front desk needs to go fast. So they were picking anything. I just need to put this guy up. So then, it's not happening today because there is a lot of safeguards around, the checking process. Maybe you already have your own profile created by you. You are a rewards program. So it's different approaches today, right? But this is the type of situation that happened. And then, then people started to get more smart. So now I require you to put what is the preference of the person. So instead of having like a predetermined text, it's an open field. So everybody was putting just dots, because again, I just need to put people up. So this is the type of situation that you face when you are going to try to analyze what is going on with your data. First approach, what do you have, right? This should be the first thing that you always see. Not to be disencouraged, but actually to see what you have.
Right.
I always say this phrase, right? Better the evil that you know than the one that is about to show up to you, right?
Yeah.
So know your data, right? Know what are your struggles, your bottlenecks, your situations. And then when you have this in front of you, you can decide where to start, right? And why this is so important, because every time that you try to come up with your exec team to try to them to buy something for you, a new application or an AI, or to do something with you, it's very important that they have the full picture.
Right.
You can't oversell it or under deliver it. So it needs to be right on the spot, because you cannot be running everything that you do too fast with AI will fail. If you need to do everything fast, make sure that everybody understands that it will fail until you get it right, or until you get to what AI means, which is approximate, right? Very proximate to the ideal. There is no, let's say, spot on with AI. There's no such a thing as 100%. It's always by approximation, by a point in time that you feel comfortable that this task is being well handled. And then there is a lot of tricks on how to tackle on those differences from 100%. which is something that is failing tremendously as well. Sometimes people just ignore bad data. I always say, don't make that mistake. Absorb everything and just put it as unclassified or do not use. And then you run another tool to analyze what is going on there. Maybe you're going to keep finding some patterns that you can push it back to your model.
Anomalies, right?
Yeah, careful, because if you do like I only allow good data to come in, if something is created in the silos, you will never capture that. There is plenty of companies going through very bad situations with the SCAC, with this type of audits, and they say, hey, this was created in this branch, and then you are not capturing here. Fine. So careful.
Yeah, good call. I love that. You brought up agentic agents. Can you walk us through, because I still think there needs to be a lot, especially in the finance world, a lot of education around generative AI, automation, first of all, agentic workflows, agents. Can you walk us through just the differences? I've seen you on stage and you did this so well. I'm like, man, we need to share this with everybody because there are differences, right? And I think people get confused. They think AI is one thing and it's, well, there's versions.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is very interesting, a very hot topic, and I love it. Okay. Because you have corporate world, you have academia, right? You have curious people around. So it's a very interesting topic, right? Because everybody's trying to do something today, which is create a definition for it. So you have already some definitions for each one of them, right? Sometimes it's in the name. When the first, autonomous automation came out, right? Maybe 80 years ago, it's not recent. We need to be very careful. I was, listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he will say AI is being around for maybe 40 years, 50 years. In physics, we use all the time. I don't know why you guys are so upset about it. Maybe because it started to draw something or creating music, but
I'm thinking like airlines, Netflix, Amazon, Netflix, airline,
it's
like
everywhere.
We've been doing it for forever. Yeah.
And then he was saying, look, all the telescopes today, they use AI, and for a while, we don't want, an AI in a telescope is going through a very specific area. It's watching and creating a lot of data. So that data gets to an AI agent, right? That runs a lot of algorithms and it determines, maybe you need to go back and watch it again because there is a fail here. So all these things that is happening automatically without the human interference actually makes physics, right, to look further, see different things. So let's be careful with that. But then let's say RPA is something for corporate that was like a very novel idea, and it was like really amazing, right? Robotic process automation. When you have a very standardized procedure, you go here, you take this report, you copy this information, and you paste here, you refresh that. It's very, point A to point B to point C. It's very linear process. That's what RPA is very good for, right? Robotic process automation. And then you can see it. And sometimes it takes 2 hours and keep running, and it's amazing to see. Then after that, everybody knows, the year 2000 something there, 2015, I think ChatGPT came with its generative AI. Now you can actually sustain some sort of a conversation, right? It's writing, but it's amazing, right? There is like this type of things that you need to know, like to prompt, you need to ask the tool to act somehow, you need to give context. And yesterday, and this is being around for a while, right? So yesterday I was actually talking to ChatGPT when you click that button, right? And then I was reasoning and fighting with ChatGPT. And then at some point I stopped and I said, am I crazy? Or this is the new thing? Because it's an amazing experience, right? So this thing about generative AI is this, right? It's conversational. And then this is where a lot of people make mistakes because it treats it like Google. It just write a question. So no, it's conversation. What it means conversation? It's like what we're having right now, right? And then I can even say different. It's like when a dad talked to a very, let's say interesting teenager, and they have like this I disagree with you. I don't think that, right? I think this is the opposite, and then you keep back and forth, and that keeps, being polished and polished and polished until you get something very beautiful, right? The outcome that you believe it's the right one to share or to absorb. And now you are in this era of agentic AI. So I'm part of this interesting group of scholars called Spark AI. It's a consortium. It's created by a very important doctor in the University of California in San Diego, the UCSD. His name is James Short. Hey, sir, thank you for the invitation. So it's a very interesting group, right? With a lot of scholars there, some people from corporate, from health organizations, and then I just bring the hospitality pinch of it, right, from the corporate world. So there is a lot of talks about the future of this, and then right now, even then he was challenging all of us, right, to say, hey, create a meaning of what agentic means, right? Because then you start to mix human and philosophy and psychology concepts within like a machine, and there is a lot of academia and scholars that gets really touchy on this type of things, right, when you try to create a meaning. But I did mine, right? I'm a very provocative person. I like to provoke people, like I did with the housekeepers, right? So I created my reasoning on what agentic AI means. So it's interesting because I went to the roots, right? So what agent means. So agent comes from the Latin word agentem. So it means the one who acts. The one who acts. Then, throughout the history, the word started to get more meaning, and now it get to a point that it's the one who acts on behalf of someone. It's the one who acts, and then it's empowered to. And then for me, that make the click. I say, wow, this is it. Okay, so I will add my salsa here, right? So I will say this is like it's an artificial,
salsa.
right? So agentic AI, this is Valquir by Valquir, okay? So it's an artificial entity, right? Who acts, right? Empowered, that reasons, that learns from experience, and makes autonomous decisions. So until someone comes with a better meaning, right? I think this one is good enough to try to showcase what this tool is doing. And it is very careful because there are two elements here that we need to be very careful in terms of agentic, right? Today, it's very cost a lot. And the way that people is going to charge you is by what they call tokens.
Usage, yeah.
And in two ways, right? Like per prompt. So you go there, it's one token, right? And then by minutes of processing of that prompt that you create, right? So you need to be very careful. A perfect example is you put an agent to watch an inbox email, right? So instead of the agent going through all the spans and marketing, things like that, don't do it, because you're going to pay a lot of money for things that you already know that could be already filtered out. As simple as creating a folder and, pushing to that folder only the things that you want the agent to see. You see, simple things that already exist. It's an automation within Microsoft Outlook, for example, and other tools as well. Then your agent now it's very localized, right, and can watch only that folder. That means productivity, efficiency, faster, and cost effective. So when you talk about agentic AI, which is an autonomous type of machine, right? You need to be very careful where you put those machines to work. So that's what they are saying. Careful, don't create agents for everything. So your agent should be part of a bigger plan, a bigger workflow. You have RPAs, you have applications doing things, always, creating the perfect environment so the agentic can go there and do something.
You make me think of, right? Because there's this huge tension of, oh, humans are going to be displaced. There's going to be a ton of job loss. But I think of repositioning, like what you just described for now is going to require a human to manage, like
Oh yeah,
to understand resource allocation, right? We do it with humans today. We
yes,
allocate human capital where we see the right fit, the best value, the best ROI.
oh
We'll do
yeah,
exactly that with robotics and we're doing that already today. Like you think of manufacturing, you're positioning robotics where it needs to be. Same with these agentic workflows or agents. You're going to have to allocate these digital species, right? Where they're needed most for the best value and return. It's so
exactly.
good. And in regards to hospitality, because I was really curious to pick your brain with agents and agentic workflows, like where in hospitality do you think, like I'm thinking not only even over the next 12 months, but over the next 3 to 5 years, like is that customer service? Is that sales? Is that pricing? Which I do want to come back to the token thing because I'm still trying to wrap my head around usage, like the world of a usage based pricing model for everything that we do is kind of interesting to think about. But in regards to hospitality, where are the low hanging fruit? Where do you see this happening faster than maybe some other areas of hospitality?
So I have what we are doing, and then my dream. Let's say that, right?
Love
So
that.
what
Yes.
we are doing, okay? What it's all finance oriented, transactional, reconciliation, right? Dashboards, productivity. We are trying to prove to our head of departments that they should see further, right? They should be aware of trends that is coming up, right? So right now, for example, at Baha Mar, we are trying to create the foundations, and then we are trying because things can happen simultaneously, right? And then we need to try, we need to fail so we can advance. So what are we gonna do next year, right? We are already in pilots, right? We already kind of have it, which is transform an entire department, right? In make an entire department automated with agentic in this workflow of processes. RPAs downloading and retrieving data from different applications, right? Another RPA just pushing data to a specific, like a Snowflake or some sort of data lake, right? And then based on all these different logics and queries being built on these different servers, then we can actually put an agent, right, to on the variances that will happen, voids, discounts, and all these
Right.
different metrics that we want to watch. We want an agent to see and determine based on a threshold, either percentage, dollar amount, or a combination, to send an email, right, to the head of department for further explanation and say, this discount is over 50% of the check. Why did you do it?
So you're talking about leakage.
Yeah, right. So agents. So there is a couple of predictions, and then what I like the most, and it's the one that I'm pushing really hard, is that humans will become experts in exceptions um, handling, handling exceptions. Right. All this data gathering, all these reconciliations can be done by the machine. Leave it. Focus where it matters on the exceptions, right? You have all your rules. There are a lot of companies that they have already departments that are very rule based, like we have it. So our team will focus on exceptions handling, right? And then, but not just as simple as that. Then we're gonna have another agent analyzing, right, the responses from the head of departments to make sense to see if it makes sense what they're explaining and
Trends.
if it makes the variance.
Right.
And then we will allow the uh, the server to absorb, for incident, 3 comments from the manager. Imagine you're a manager, you wrote it down, then you remember again, 3 interactions, right? Can be absorbed in terms of comments. And then our team will we will shift. We're gonna enhance them to go for the buck, right? So now you are seeing this. analyze the trends. For example, if I can handle that, now I can focus, what is the server that sells the most liquor? Is the same that sells the most wine? Maybe they can cross train and teach each other, right, on how to sell more wine or how to sell more liquor. What is the server that gets the most tips? Is him doing something different, right? Because all these different signals that AI loves it, right? The data world loves what they call signals. All these signals can be analyzed further down the road. And the more patterns that we find, the more we can feed back to the tool so we can go even further. So this is the type of thing that I want my team to go for it. There's a lot of concerns about how the new talent is going to come in if everything is automated. But then we can discuss also about the digital twins and how the schools and universities, they need to adapt fast, right? To start to teach kids on these digital twins with fake data, but for all these real companies around. So a lot is going on. And this is amazing about our revolution, right? It's not just one segment or one corridor. It's happening everywhere. So we need to enjoy this process, and
It's
I
like what
love
you
it.
say, be creative and try, fail fast. Okay, you made me think about so many things because I've been in the service world too, right? Obviously in a different industry, the wellness and fitness space. But I remember as a leader, there are times where you're coaching your team. There's rule based in the playbook, and there's do the right thing, use your judgment. And I
Yeah.
think you're spot on. You just made me think about something. Is you're right. Human in the loop will be those times where we need to use our best judgment, our subjective, not the objective rule based 0-1. It's there are times where you need to go maybe even against what the data is telling you to do, right? Based off of the
Exactly.
SCP and the
Totally.
knowledge base.
Yeah.
Like you have to be a human. Humans to human can use your best judgment.
Yeah.
And then I
It's like
love the
thinking.
leakage piece and the other thing you were saying around human capital, right? No longer the days when some of your best people, because they just, you get those responses like, how did you do that? I'm like, I just do it. And you can't really extract how some of your best people are doing what they're doing. And this might be controversial, but I do think as you were explaining leakage, I was also thinking CCTV. And maybe it's not the camera, but it's maybe the meta glass. They're wearing meta glasses or something. And I can see a day where you no longer lose what I would call those data points you mentioned at the bar, or maybe it's in housekeeping. You actually can get from video footage extracting data points to find trends of what our best people doing. That is exciting. Now there's this like tension point of mass surveillance and micromanagement, and I don't even know how to respond to that
Yeah.
today.
Look, to be able to advance, at least we need to be free to think,
Right,
and then we can work out the problems.
right, right,
Because maybe the CCTV is not the right way of doing it, but potentially the same concept can be applied differently. Me as a server, you as my customer. I know your favorite drinks. I know which side of the bed you want to sleep, right? If I'm a housekeeper, there is a lot of signals that I know about you, right? I don't need a CCTV to know you because I know you. So the question then becomes, how can I capture those signals
right.
from these interactions, right? Maybe a server at the end of the shift, they can write something.
Or
He can
debrief.
talk with the AI, or during those interactions, he can say something. Oh, remember about the anniversary of Albert, right? It's coming up. So different signals, right? Remember, to be in the edge of new technology, we need to be free of think.
Yeah.
Even if sometimes something is controversial, maybe there is a workaround that controversy, so we can still implement a good idea.
I love it. Well, I think I know the answer to this one, and this one came from LinkedIn. I have a bit of a tribe. Whenever I let people know we have guests on, they want to ask some questions, and one of them was around just the people side, the leadership side, as they've watched your videos and your keynotes talks. Why is coaching and mentoring and teaching a non-negotiable for you?
Yeah. So very important. Let's step back, right? Because this has nothing to do with technology. Nothing. This is why I love to be this. I love that when people see me as a bridge between finance, operations, technology, and I like to position myself in the middle, uh, and people as well, right? I like to say that I'm a translator. I know how to translate finance terminology to operations so they can understand each other. I spent 9 years in IT, so I know the language. So I know how to read data sets, database, queries, so I can transmit, finance perspectives to developers. I know how people work because I spent 9 years, training different, nationalities, different nuances of people. So, and I love it. So I like to think myself as a translator. So now, how can you make sure that this is happening? So you really need to work on your soft skills, and then this is becoming more and more a must in all type of education, right? So you need to understand the techniques. You need to understand and apply them honestly. So how can you make sure that your team is on board of any type of transformation? So the first rule is make sure you participate them in the transformation. Make sure you take into account their perspectives. And then someone can say, we don't have time, we don't have the money. How can I talk to 5,000 employees? We have 5,000 employees at Baha Mar. You can find a way to talk to enough people for you to get an understanding. Don't come with the no's. I always, I do these meetings every single time and I say, I know all the no's. I'm not here to listen to something that I keep hearing. Let's look for the yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's look for the how. And at some point, one of the departments was really concerned that they didn't have a budget to do a piece of art, right? And then it's an art department. We also have an art department at Baha Mar. So I told him, I'm gonna challenge you. How could you create this piece of art with zero budget, $0? Let's go crazy here, and I'm gonna push, and I'm gonna help you guys, right? Could you work with some type of recycled material? Oh yes, because you start to throw ideas, and people start to create those links, connect those different dots. And after a 2 hours talk, we were like, our eyes were amazing, and we can create this and create that, and it was an amazing experience, right? This type of thing connects you with the team, and that's why you need to do participate them in those important decisions. Technology allow us to do that, allow us to provide them what our team and ourselves were complaining for so many decades. We want to do more meaningful things. Now that we have all the tools, why we are complaining that we don't want to do it? It's like it doesn't make any sense for us to go back to data entry and then be a clerk. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to even consider that. So let's push that to the meaningful things. When implementing something, get the people that are the most affected one. Yes, maybe you already have 95% of the system ready, standardized. But if you take into consideration their information, their hurdles, pain points, you will see that how this is implemented faster, better, and then you will see, and you will be surprised how many ideas you didn't think of it. Because we are not gods, we don't know all, right? And then getting their perspective is the most effective way to get the buy-in.
So good. It's so good. What are your, as you've been working on this and you've been doing it for years, and I didn't know that about you as far as your tech experience too. I mean, you got the tech, the ops, the finance, which is beautiful because I think that's where a lot of finance leaders need to go, and not necessarily become, the developer and the subject matter expert, but
Exactly.
to
No. Yeah.
understand it, right? And then more importantly than any of that, any of the technical, and you talk about this a lot, the EQ side of things, right? The emotional intelligence, soft skills, the communication skills. I think they're going to be more important than ever before for a finance leader, which gets me into my next question. For those up and coming CFOs or those that are CFOs today, how do you recommend they evolve as AI matures and evolves? Like, how do they step into this, and how is the role going to change?
Yeah. So the more you go up, right, the less it's your direct involvement in developing things, in touching things. So that's where, by the time that you reach those levels, you better have this wide open, this big, right? And with that curious mind that you cultivated throughout these decades of experience that you have, right?
Right.
Because now you will need to rely on smart people, right? You need to bring to the team, right, the people that you're gonna trust, people that think and in a technological way, that have these soft skills, so it's not a rigid type of situation. Sometimes people can say, well, but if you are in a very regulated type of environment, I understand. I understand that you think because I'm coming from hospitality, I shouldn't say anything about very high regulated environments. But still, the concept applies, right? Make sure that you bring these people that has this mentality of curiosity. If you have someone in the team as a CFO, right, a finance leader that is curious and go and figure out in operations what happens, it's a game change. Because as a leader, you need to send your generals around. You cannot be the one doing it, right? It's all about leadership. It's all about leadership, right? I'm
So
assuming
good.
that you're already there, and then you have all the basics, right, covered, right? To become a CFO, you already have all this experience. So now it's all about the people.
I love it. I have a couple more questions for you. Let me start with this one. I mean, I believe and I feel it that those that work with you, I mean, they get to learn so much just to have a curious mind like yours and just be a transformative leader. What legacy do you want to leave? In the finance world, in the hospitality world, in with your from your leadership.
I want to be remembered as the one that contributes, right? I want to be remembered as the one that kept pushing the human element into this new era, right? I want to be the one that was there, in the front lines fighting for those evolutions, right? The job evolution, to creating new job names or job titles or job descriptions. There is this phrase from my last speak, right? That I said, are you going to become the catalyst of the change or just the collateral damage of this revolution?
Wow, that's powerful. That's a big question and something to reflect on. So good. Well, I come from the wellness and fitness space, so this question is a little more selfish, but we do have some from that industry in the audience that are really trying to figure out where the hotel industry is going with wellness. Because we're starting to see little sprinkles of it, of expanding or using maybe underutilized square footage to create a wellness experience. So when I'm
Totally.
traveling, I still get my mindfulness and my stretching and
Totally.
my recovery and all of that. Whether it's Baha Mar or just the industry
Yes.
as a whole, where's that all going?
So look what we did. Remember, I'm crazy. So I used to be the controller of this amazing hotel in Mexico, Cabo San Lucas, called Mi Cabo, and then it's a party hotel, lifestyle. Techno music, all this champagne, spraying champagne, this craziness, right?
Can't wait to go there.
Amazing vibe. All these people, you know, enjoying, amazing time there. And then we had a top amazing spa there, right? Spa there, amazing, with this Mexican igloo that you go in and you go whatever ayahuasca, all these different things there. Right? We had an amazing place, and then of course, how can you connect lifestyle partying with, mindful, all this stuff? So people that went to Cabo was just going for one thing and having fun, not for the spa. So our spa capture ratio was pretty bad.
Mm.
And then when you are in this place and you see the head of departments, suffering because they know what they have in their mind, in their hands. So how can you create the most crazy connection as possible? So again, I'm all about human interaction. So I told them and say, hey, nobody knows you because they don't care. They don't care about that. So
Right.
what could we create to create this leap of curiosity? Because here's the thing, we knew that every time that people went through those doors, $500 was deposited in a spot. It doesn't matter. So whatever is the person that crossed that line, regardless of their intention in that hotel, they were putting $500 in a bunch of
So
treatment.
get them across the line. How do you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, how you do that? So we started to send. We went crazy. We tried so many different ideas, but we started to send therapists to a specific moment in time during those parties, because and it's like a combination of craziness. So I spoke to the DJ and said, "Hey, careful with the music. From midday to 3 o'clock, chill music. People get in the mood, and then you can go crazy and you do whatever. But until that moment, allow people to drink, eat, right? Allow them to get in the mood. During that time, I'm gonna bring some therapists, so be ready for call them out in the microphone. So let's create like a combination of things, right? So this is what's happening, Albert. So the therapists were going there around the cabanas, and people were chilling, and all this vibe, the arch in front of you, the seats. It's like an amazing place as well. So, and then we even created a package of recovering for the next day, right? I used to have 2 ambulances and the weekends in that hotel because people were going crazy. But
Oh my
then,
goodness.
the next morning, people were pretty bad, in bad shape, and a lot of them started to go to spa to recover. So by that time, I think this 2012, more than a decade ago. So people were starting to go there to get those infused, right,
These.
electrolytes
Yeah.
directly in their veins. Then like a recovery, we developed like recovery massage and things like that. The spa went through the roof. A perfect combination, the most unusual way in a party hotel that you have a spa. Things like that, I love to do it, right? Working in this previous company called Melia Hotels International is all about entertainment. How can you create this connection with people? So at Baha Mar, one of the departments was really also struggling, tennis. And it's amazing. There's a lot of people that like to play tennis. So I asked the head of the department, hey, put yourself in the gear of tennis because you have 0 clients in your department. 0. There's nobody. And go around the resort. Go in the pool, dressed up, right? With tennis ball. Play a little bit with the people there, like, simulate, engagement, human interaction. Tell them about the amazing department that you have, the amazing, place that you have, all these pros that can teach them. And then you will see a huge jump. So it's natural. Every time that you connect, amazing things happen.
Amazing. I love that. And I think, something that I took away from that too is not even just underutilized square footage, but bring wellness to solve the problem, right? Figure out where the problem is and bring it to the guests. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to chat with you more about that because that's some of the things that I'm doing behind the scenes as we're bringing wellness to hospitality as there's a big ask there. So that's exciting. Well, I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I can go on for hours. You made me think about so many things. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I cannot wait to continue to just keep in touch and connect with you, see you on stage. I know you have a lot of different events coming up, but this was so good. I appreciate the people first mindset, the data first,
always.
right? Mindset before getting into any type of implementation, right? The curious mind, that's going to be huge. And what I really took from this too, which I hope people captured, was I think there's a lot of, again, it's the media hype around AI is that the creativity is lost. And what you shared today gave me hope that actually, no, we strengthen the creativity as humans with this technology as tools. I thought that was so good. And again, I'm going to be thinking about that for quite some time. If people want to connect with you, for the audience members out there that want to connect with you, learn more about you, learn about where you're going to speak next, how can they connect with you?
Best way is through LinkedIn, Valquir Correa. There's just a few of them in the world, so pretty easy to find me.
I love it. Well, so good. Well, I know you know that I'm in the AI space and finance space too. And for those leaders out there that are listening that are interested in AI powered forecasting, 13-week cash flow statements, and going from and Val, I spoke to Leah Weiss last week. We were chatting about it's no longer data visualization. You said it earlier in the show. It's data conversation. That's where we're going. Is we're going to be able to communicate with agents and AI as we want to query and dig deeper into how do we mathematically get there. I'm really excited about that. But for those that want to learn more, go to valsites.com so you can learn more about our platform. But Val, thank you so much for your time, sir. Always great to spend time with you and see you again. I appreciate the compliment, but seriously, your energy, I can only imagine those that work with you and work for you, they're probably just jazzed and pumped and love what they do each and every day. So keep up the great work.
Thank you, Albert.
My pleasure. Everybody, this has been another episode of the Valsites podcast. I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and we'll see you every Monday at 8 a.m. Central. Thank you so much, Val. I'll see you soon, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.